Hello YouTube, Professor Codger here. Welcome to Piping 112, the 3-pinch method. 3-pinch method is perhaps the most widely taught packing method in pipe smoking.
First one I came across,
yeah. Builds the tobacco in 3 layers, with each layer receiving slightly more compression than the last. Like every packing method, the goal is a comfortable draw, not perfectly adhering to the technique or routine. Why 3 layers? It allows you to gradually build the tobacco column rather than compressing the entire bowl at once. Each layer supports the next. You can control a little bit, get different kind of pressure throughout the bowl, and get different amounts of airflow in each section of the bowl.
I do wonder though if, like, a bigger bowl would lend itself more to just 3 pinches and a smaller bowl too.
It's probably a factor in which you might choose.
Yeah.
You could get away with the 3-pinch method in most pipes, I think.
Sure.
Like you could pull
Small
it off.
Pinches.
You could pull off either, but yeah, small or big pinches depending on the way you're going. It's a pretty simple process. First pinch, fill the bowl up. Gravity fill is all you need. Then you're going to compress that down to about 1/3 of the bowl. Some people will phrase it that you'll use the pressure that a baby might at this stage. Then you take your second pinch. Notice I pinched twice, even though it's still just the second pinch.
One pinch.
It doesn't
matter.
The
pinch is an amount of tobacco.
Gently compress that slightly more than that first layer, which if you remember, we did like a baby. This one you might do like a child. You're going to be compressing this down to about the 2/3 level of the bowl, looking to create a stable middle section without restricting the airflow. Finally, the third pinch, just the same. Add until it's slightly overfilled. Compress that down with the force that you might expect an adult to use. Perform a test draw. If everything feels comfortable, you're ready to smoke. It's a structured approach. It offers consistent results. It's a useful learning framework for how you'll eventually start packing your pipe. We were talking earlier about how you kind of just do it. After a while, you don't so much use a method.
Right. One thing that I think what's nice about this for a beginner is it makes you aware of how you're packing it, the firmness, because I think that's really what matters the most. It affects different things like the airflow primarily and the evenness of the ember. But I always wondered, and maybe I'm wrong about my intuitions here, like even if you're packing that bottom relatively lightly, once you pack the second one, doesn't it compress that down? And then the third one, it compresses that down. So by the end, I mean, I guess this stuff is all relative, you know what I mean? And that's why it can be a little tough. When someone says like an adult, do they mean like, or do they mean like,
right. It's really just a comparison between the 3 amounts of pressure. Sort of like, you could maybe even think about it like Goldilocks. It's not the best example because that implies a perfect amount of pressure versus just 3 different degrees of pressure.
Right. But one thing that's consistent, I think we see, is that we want the bottom to have more airflow, the bottom of the bowl. And I think that's also where you're more likely to get a piece of tobacco lodged in the draft hole, which will definitely affect
That'll definitely affect your draw.
To become nothing, basically.
Yeah. As your experience grows, you may rely less on counting pinches, more on feel. Remember, it's a teaching tool. Successful pack is ultimately how well the pipe smokes determines how successfully you packed it, not how closely you followed a particular method. Until next time, thanks for watching.